Week 4, Part 4, Global Health. The world population has changed. A child born in 1955 had the average life expectancy of 48 years. By 2000, it increased to 66 years, and it is projected to be 75 years by the age 2025. In 1990, the world's population, according to the World Health Bank, was 5.279 million. In 2013, it was 7.125 billion. It is projected to be 9.15 billion in 2050. Developing countries will have 2 or fewer children per family. The largest increase in population growth rates will occur in Africa. Many countries will have shrinking pool of working age, which is 15 to 64-year-old, to support the older population. The U.S. population growth will come from immigration and from growth of older adult populations. Countries with the largest populations are currently China, India, and the U.S., but by 2050, India will move to the top spot. This is definitely a concept you need to make sure that you understand, which is globalization. The globalization is the world's economies interwoven together. Each economy is dependent upon one another, being powered by technology. Technology impacts by decreasing in jobs and increase in influence of multinational businesses over the world events with their money and power. Let's look at the healthcare governance. There are multilateral and bilateral agencies that monitor healthcare or global healthcare efforts. There are also non-governmental organizations that care for the world health. According to Clark, multilateral agencies are those that are involved in several countries in joint activities related to health. These multilateral organizations are funded by multiple governments and non-government sources. They distribute funds to several countries via several organizations: the WHO, the PAHO, the World Health, UNICEF, and UNDP. The World Health Organization, or WHO, was established in 1948 and is responsible for providing leadership, supporting health-related research, and setting a global research agenda. It is funded by dues and donations from member nations. The World's Health Assembly is the governing body, and the executive board is the health experts panel, and the secretariat does the day-to-day work. The main goals of the WHO are direct and coordinate international health activities, supply technical assistance to countries, develop norms and standards, disperse health information, research, training in international health, collect and analyze epidemiologic data, monitor and evaluate health programs. PAHO predates the World Health. Founded in 1902, it's the world's oldest international public health agency. Many of the same tasks as the World Health Organization in the Americas, focuses on the Western Hemisphere, provides technical cooperation, and mobilizes partnerships to improve health and quality of the life of countries of the Americas. Specialized health agencies of the Inter-American System, and serves as the regional office for the Americas of the World Health Organization. Together with the WHO, PAHO is a member of the United Nations system. The World Bank is another multilateral agency. It loans money to poor countries and becomes a human resources development in education and health improvements. The 2 main goals are to end extreme poverty by decreasing the percentage of people living on less than $1.25 a day to no more than 3%. To promote shared prosperity by fostering the income growth of the bottom 40% for every country. UNICEF is the healthcare agency whose top priority is the vulnerable children. They fund the poorest country with a focus on children's ages less than 5. The U.S. is the single largest donor, with Canada, Switzerland, the Netherlands, and Scandinavian countries also involved. The Sustainable Development Goals, otherwise known as the Global Goals, build on the Millennium Development Goals, which were 8 anti-poverty targets that the world committed to achieving by 2015. The MDGs, adopted in 2000, aimed at an array of issues that include slashing poverty, hunger, disease, gender, inequality, and access to water and sanitation. Enormous progress has been made on the MDGs and showing the value of a unifying agenda underpinned by goals and targets, this under the United Nations Development Program. The new SDGs and broader sustainable agenda go much further than the MDGs, addressing the root cause of poverty and the universal need for development that works for all people. The UNND Administrator Helen Clark noted, "This agreement marks an important milestone in putting in our world an exclusive and sustainable course. If we all work together, we have a chance of meeting citizens' aspirations for peace, prosperity, and well-being, and to preserve our planet." And this was taken from the UNDP website. The Sustainable Development Goals will now finish the job of the MDGs and ensure that no one is left behind. The concept of the SDGs was born at the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development in Rio in 2012. The objective was to produce a set of universal applicable goals that balance the three dimensions of the sustainable development: environmental, social, and economic. The SDGs replaced the MDGs, which in September 2000 rallied the world around a common 15-year agenda to tackle the indignity of poverty. The MDGs established measurable, universally agreed objectives for eradicating extreme poverty and hunger, preventing deadly but treatable diseases, and expanding educational opportunities to all children, among other development imperatives. The MDGs drove progress in several important areas: income poverty, access to improved water sources, primary school enrollment, child mortality. With the job unfinished for millions of people, we need to go to the last mile on ending hunger, achieving full gender equality, moving health services, and getting every child into school. Now we just have to shift the world onto a sustainable path. The SDGs aim to do just that with a 2030 target date. The new development agenda applies to all the countries, promotes peaceful and inclusive societies, creates better jobs, and tackles the environment challenges of our time, particular climate change. In December 2015, the world leaders reached a historic global agreement on climate change at the Paris Climate Conference. The Sustainable Development Goals must finish the job that the Millennium Development Goals started and leave no one behind. Bilateral agencies. They involve 2 or more countries in a single project with funding that comes from a single country. Most industrialized nations have similar government agencies. They aid developing countries. Political and historical reasons often determine which countries receive donations and how much they receive. The USAID is the Agency for International Development, where they administer federally financed projects for foreign development, which includes health-related events. International Health Organizations, or NGOs. NGOs are not-profit, voluntary citizen agencies outside the official government-sponsored agencies. They have professional and sustainable organizational structures. Humanitarian is a strong belief that human life has value wherever it is found. It is a private, voluntary organization which provides approximately 20% of all external aid to developing countries. Quite small organizations, church-affiliated clinics and hospitals run by missionaries. Examples of NGOs are Project Hope and Oxfam International. There's also refugee and disaster relief by many agencies. Here you see how the multilateral agencies work in conjunction with disaster relief. Some of the programs are the World Food Program, which provides food relief, transportation, agriculture and rural development, and education, or the UN High Commission for Refugees, which provides international protection, a major international organization for 20 million refugees. Food and Agricultural Organization, or FAO, it helps develop countries to prepare for famine and reestablish agriculture after a disaster. The bilateral agencies that provide help for disasters and refugees are USAID, which is the most developed countries have similar agencies and are dedicated to disaster relief, and the U.S. Armed Forces and National Guards. The NGOs are the International Red Cross and the Red Crescent Movement, which is the large, most prestigious world humanitarian NGO, with 3 components of the International Red Cross and Red Crescent Society, and the American Red Cross. Another NGO you're familiar with is the MSF, Médecins Sans Frontières, or also known as Doctors Without Borders. They go to aid all victims of war, natural disasters, and will go into areas without permission and speak out on humanitarian rights.